morning, Akwaibom. Welcome to another insightful edition of The Melting Point, where we dive into the issues that shape our state, our nation, and our future. I am Sharon Mando. Part of the agricultural revolution in Akwaibom State and how Governor Omoeno's Rise agenda is transforming food security and economic development. From expert opinions to critical analysis, we'll uncover what's working, what needs improvement, and how these policies are impacting the lives of everyday citizens. So stay with us as we melt down the layers and get to the core of these burning issues. Get your notepad, settle in, and let's ignite the conversation. This is The Melting Point. We're being joined by public affairs analyst Ikake Basi. Good morning to you, Ikake.
Good morning, Sharon.
How's it been? I feel like we haven't seen for about 2 weeks now.
Absolutely.
Or 3, so.
No, two
Okay,
weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks. How's it been?
It's fine. And you?
Fine. How's the week been?
Good morning, Mr. Enquiry.
Yeah, good morning, my comrade. How's the hunger biting in your direction?
Well, I don't think hunger is biting me, but hunger is biting some Nigerians.
I know you're a good farmer.
Especially, yes, of course. Especially the 5.2 million people who are living in multi-dimensional poverty in Akwaibom State. So those are the people we should be really concerned about.
Okay. Pretty soon we'll go there. Let's get to Sharon.
Okay. The Governor Omoeno has announced the formation of a food security committee to drive agricultural revolution in Akwaibom State. Now, how do you see this initiative impacting food security in the state, considering the current state of agriculture?
Yeah, it's a welcome development. It's just that we are waiting to see the programs that this committee that has been set up. Is it been set up already? That has been set up, or that will be set up. The committee that he's about to set up. We want to see the programs they will be coming up with in order to ensure food security, not just security, but food quality and also quantity, right? Because if you look at I was trying to check up something, and I decided to look up the how Oxford Dictionary, which says food security is the state of having reliable access to quality of affordable, nutritious food. And the U.S. Agency for International Development also says that food security means having at all times both physical and economic access to sufficient food to meet dietary needs for a productive and healthy life. So not only should food be physically available, people should also be able to access it economically. It means people should have the wherewithal to access this food. So in setting up this committee, we want to see, of course, I saw there's one professor, is it Ibia?
Yes.
They have set up a professorial chair for him at the University of Uyo, and I think he's been designated to be part of the food security committee.
Yeah. So
let's see what they want to come up with, but this was long overdue. The problem of Nigeria is not committee. It's not the setting of committees. We have a lot of committees, right? But what are the programs? Okay? And how are those programs impacting the common man? That's what we should be looking to bring academics on board. We need to also bring industry practitioners. Okay? Except those academics are academics. That's people who are both practicing and teaching in that field. Outside of that, we need industry practitioners who have hands-on experience on how to manage these things. There are models, for God's sake, not only in Nigeria but outside the country. How are other countries fixing their food security issues? Then we should be able to look at that and be able to come up with something a bit sustainable for our people.
Okay, you made mention of Professor Trenchard Ibia, former Commissioner for Agriculture in Akwaibom State, and currently he is in the University of Uyo, being part of this economic team. Well, there's always been these indices of poor with agriculture, especially. You can remember we used to have a structural adjustment program, and we had that of Obasanjo, Operation Feed the Nation, and all that. How can you access? What's your impression on this committee in view of the absence of one strong pillar of ensuring there is food security, that is availability? How can this team ensure food availability?
Okay, first off, you've already mentioned here that this professor had been
Former Commissioner for Agriculture.
Agriculture. I think during the tenure of, is it Mr. Udonga Emmanuel?
No, prior to that.
Prior to that.
Yeah, Akwaibom, he was.
Akwaibom,
Yeah, he works with that. He worked with
And
the Senate
so
president.
maybe we need to backstep and begin to look at what are the programs he was able to come up with during his time as the Commissioner for Agriculture, also being a professor in that field, meaning he's a researcher, he's a renowned researcher in that field. Like I said, it's not just enough to bring on board academics, but also to bring in industry practitioners and also looking at models that other countries have used that is working, okay? Models that are sustainable. Now, there are things we have to consider when we are talking about food security. Not access their farms, there is a problem. Then we cannot even start to discuss food security, okay? Because farmers have to access their farm.
Yeah.
So security is key. How much are we doing in terms of in our rural community so that people are not harassed, okay? Farmers are not harassed when getting to their farms and all of that. And how do we adopt methods like selective breeding? I know a lot of people might be averse to these methods, but it is not all wrong. Not all genetically modified seeds are bad, okay? For example, in the Bible time, Jacob did something, okay, without introducing chemical and all of that, and he was able to get the best out of the livestock, right? So we have to also consider things like that, selective breeding, in order for us to have good yield. We have to consider mechanized farming, okay, in order to still have this food sufficiency or food security we are talking about. We also have to think about high volume, storage and rapid distribution. How do we intend to store our food having been produced? Because most times the problem is not production. The problem largely, especially as we have in Nigeria, might be method of preservation. How do we store our food? A friend told me that I think he traveled to, is it Israel or one of these countries, and he bought orange, okay? And on that orange was stamped, the year that was stamped was 5 years, before the date he bought it. And the thing was still fresh, was still okay and all of that. That means they have a way of preserving, of storing their food. And if we can have these ways, these methods, it will help us in this food security. We should not just be giving words, rhetorics, food security, this and that, but at the end of the day, we look back and there's nothing for it. Because we've been talking, Nigeria as a country have been talking about food security for as long as I can remember, but there are no strategic plans, tactics to ensure that we arrive at that food security. We cannot be talking about food security when, for example, in other states, a paramount ruler has been killed, who is the chief security officer of that locality, right? We can't be talking about food security in that instance. We cannot be talking about food security when bandits are in the bush collecting farmers. If you cannot pay, they kill you. Cattle, right? And so whatever you're putting on the ground, you are not expecting to get anything, because the cattle might uproot it and do whatever they want to do with it. We can't be talking about security, food security in that circumstance.
But Ikeke, on that note, yeah, just last week I saw on the papers that security officials have been deployed to various farms across the northeastern states to guard the farms, so we don't hear any more cases of bandits going into farms and stealing crops and chasing the farmers away from the farms. What do you think that would be?
What kind of security have been deployed to this one? Is it the Nigerian police or the military or something? We have a proposal on the table. That proposal is local security, right?
That's like state police.
We call it state police, but local, I'm using another word, local security, where the people that are familiar with the terrain, are put together to ensure the security of that environment. Whether you want to call them state police or local government police, it depends, because even in the United States we have police structure up to the county, which is the local government, right? But we should deploy something like that, not deploying somebody from Abuja to go to Maiduguri to go and secure a farm that he does not know any route in that area. It would not be effective. So we should, that's what I'm talking about, implementation. Every strategic objective has other imperative, right? In terms of how do we move from strategy to action, and how do we implement this program in such a way that it will benefit, it will yield the desired objective at the end of the day. We should not just be thinking of what to do, but how to do it and what to expect. That's the output or the outcome at the end of the day. So in Nigeria, we are good at coming up with lofty ideas, but we are bereft of implementation techniques. Okay, so we need to do better. Like what we are having in Akwaibom State right now, talking about the Food Security Committee. I would like to see the programs that this committee will be coming up with, bearing in mind that during the last administration of Governor Odubi Manuel, we had a program. People were excited about this coconut, planting. How many years have gone? We don't have coconut. And look at the strategy, the problem with the strategy. A coconut refinery, St. Gabriel, was built without coconut. Do you understand? So the thinking is wrong. The thinking is faulty. That's what I'm saying. We come up with programs, but we don't know how to strategically move from planning or from strategy to action. That's the problem. We are bereft of that technicality of moving from strategy to action that will yield the desired output or outcome, or the objective that will benefit the generality of the people. Today, the coconut refinery is there. Nothing is being refined. No single coconut has been refined yet, because there is no coconut to be refined. I also heard that the idea of planting a certain species was contested by a professor of soil science or something. I don't know which professor precisely, but the government then proved adamant, and today we are having stunted growth of those coconut. But true to a real African, they said that it is the juju of that area that have stunted the growth of the coconut. We cannot continue to behave like this in 2024. This is 21st century for God's sake, and we have technology. We have the wherewithal. In fact, you don't even need to go and import a professor to tell you what to do. Google it. Go on YouTube. You can let these informations are there, free. And of course, we even have AI. Query the AI and it will give you what to do. So we cannot be talking about how to implement things, strategies in today's world, when the information are at our fingertips, they're at our disposal today. So the problem has always been implementation. We are good with forming things, with coming up with ideas, but moving from ideas to actions that will bring about the desired outcome is always the problem. So we are looking forward to the committee here to see what they want to do.
Okay, if you are on with us, it's Melting Point. And Iyake is there to take a chorus. Sorry? Ikake, that's right. Sorry, my friend. 4.4 million people are food insecure in northeast Nigeria. 37% of these people nationwide live below the poverty line. 2.2 million people internally are displaced. Now, we're looking at promoting food security, especially in Akwaibom State, and that has to do with the presence of silos, like you said, and we had earlier heard about the bulk purchase thing. Don't you think the government is still owing the people a lot when it comes to food security and agriculture? Because I'm not seeing the tractors heading to the villages for to assist the farmers. I'm not seeing a lot of things happening right in the hinterland access roads and others. Do you think the government is serious when it comes to really food security?
The government stemming from my own personal experience.
Let's listen.
But before I proceed to that, just to buttress and also to complement the data you just given, in the Guardian newspaper publication of July 2024, they said that more than 52,000 patients were diagnosed with severe acute malnutrition across 7 states in 2023, and 2,693 of them died, according to the figures, right? The reason for the malnutrition are noted to be caused by food inflation, which is over 30%, as Nigeria is experiencing food insecurity. So this conversation is apt, right? Why I say that the government are not serious or is not serious about food security is because their approach to getting these things done is not formidable. Let me give you an example. I'm in the public space, so I should say this. Immediately after the governor was sworn in, I have passion when it comes to business for 3 areas: agri, real estate, and management development. All right, those are the 3 areas of my concern. So I had taken a walk to the greenhouse that is at Akwaibom at the airport, right? And I went there with my partners some time ago, and we looked at the place. We took some pictures, we did feasibility study, and then we said this is an investable opportunity. So we worked out modalities, and when the governor was sworn in, I wrote to him telling him the potential of that place and the capacity for that place to at least at the start employ well over 500 people, beside the fact that that facility has the potential of generating about 2 billion annually. Okay, so I told him, don't give us money, don't give us anything, or any finance. What we need is just give us access to the place, and let's talk terms. What do we remit to the government so that we can revitalize the place and put it to use? For God's sake, that is the first thing that everybody sees when they land in Akwaibom. Visitors that are coming in through, the airport. But the governor did not respond in any way. Okay? But I was surprised 2 weeks after I must have made that proposal, okay, to him, whether he read it or not, he was in the facility with some Turkish, saying that the same model that is running with the Boom A, that's the same model that they will run there, and then they took some photos and talk until today. Nothing has been done about it. This is one of the reasons I say that the government are not serious. And just a few months later, President made an announcement that fuel subsidy is gone and all of these things. Then come increase in food prices and inflation and all of that, to the point that a basket of tomato was sold at, is it 60-something thousand at some point, naira?
Yeah, about that.
That place is capable of producing 588,000 kg of tomatoes every 4 months, right? But Akwaibomites were suffering the same fate that other states are suffering, with the facility that over billions of naira was spent to build and develop. That facility was inaugurated or commissioned by President Obasanjo. So that's the way we are. We are very wasteful.
Okay, so really, what are the challenges there? Because according to what you have said, we have the ability of coming out of this issue that Nigerians are facing. Akwaibom as a state is capable of coming out of surviving all of this, but then it's not happening right now. So what are the challenges? Why are some of these things not working out? You have personally assessed the green farm there, so let us know the challenges.
Well, if you go there now, you will see a few people with some managers. They tell you it's being managed by the Ministry of Agriculture poorly. It's being managed poorly, by the Ministry of Agriculture. They have about 10 different greenhouses there. Each of them is about 1 hectare. Okay, So the combined production capacity of those 10 houses is what I've told you. They can produce about 580 something thousand kg of tomatoes. Let's say biannually. So you can have a production cycle of 2 times per year. They can also do as well bell pepper, right? And every other thing that can work within the technology framework of greenhouse. Nothing is done about it. The Ministry of Agri is poorly utilizing the facility, and private sector is not given the opportunity to take over and run it. And see, the challenge we have, right, with our politicians is that they go into office without a plan. If you've interacted with I'm a politician also, but if you interact with some politicians, you would realize that these people, majority of these people, do not have a plan, a development plan on how they intend to move the state from one level to the other. They don't have it. In fact, the plan is only an afterthought. After they have entered office, then they begin to say, oh, what can we do? Then different people begin to bombard them with different proposals. That's not how to run a government. You should have a plan. In fact, it's something that you must have been sitting down as an individual and say, if I have opportunity of doing this, this is what I would do. So by the time you come up to contest, you are contesting with your plan. It's unfortunate that citizens in this country would vote somebody without even knowing the person's full name, let alone knowing what the person's pedigree is or what the person is capable of doing, let alone of talking about economic blueprint, which is why we keep producing cannot perform in the best interest of the people. So they don't have a plan. That is the problem. The problem is that our politicians, our leaders do not have a plan that would benefit the people eventually.
Okay, they do not have a plan. Now, I want to let's figure out the role of Agri Extension units, because certainly Uyo capital city, or the heart of the capital city of Uyo, is already overcrowded, and we have enough investors coming into town to do business with us, and that leaves us with little land for farming or agriculture. Offices, just like we can't all come to be in Uyo, which is coming. Let's go to the Agri Extension units that are in local government areas, as well as the other unit that was then ACADEP. The role of these agencies.
Yes, for example, I would advocate that Ministry of Agriculture does not have any business being in the state secretariat. All right, we should take Ministry of Agriculture to a place such as in a local government.
In the local government?
Yes.
Okay.
Where we have enough land.
All right.
Do you understand? We should take Ministry of Mineral Resources to a place like Itu. Okay, where we have enough mineral resources, or Ikorobasi, so that these things can be, let's keep them near the center of the resource, so they can think with the environment. But when you bring everything to the center, they come sit down and begin to write things on paper. That's not work. I don't see that as work. We have vast land in the local government. The land is very beautiful, but nothing it's been done about it. Think with the environment. Everybody is thinking in the city. Do you understand? And if you're thinking in the city, what are you thinking with? You should be going to work every day looking at the land so that you'll be inspired, so that you can generate ideas, so that you can think. But it's not done. So we need this adjustment. We need to look back into these ministries, agencies that we them, and see if they are really functioning